Hey crew, it's Pitt and I'm back with some more Esoterica. Today we are diving back into the work of Charles Haanel. This is the Master Key System. We are up to part 1. We are reading aloud and discussing as we go along the various points that are brought to light by the text. It's not the format for everyone, but some people seem to find enjoyment in it, so you are more than welcome to tag along as we continue our exploration. Before we begin, however, if you are unfamiliar with me, any of my unconventional beliefs, or if at any point in time I lose you in the terminology, there will be several playlists linked in the corner above, the box down below, along with the original source material so that you can get a better understanding of who I am and why I say the things I do. With that being said, we are going to dive in and continue our exploration of the Master Key System. This is part 1. Part 1 tells upon what possession is based, explains the cause of all gain, explains the cause of loss as well as all other experiences in life. It explains how power is secured, it tells of a world within and how this world is governed. It explains how the solution for every problem in life may be found. It tells how practical men and women find the courage, power, hope, enthusiasm, and confidence by which they are given the intelligence and wisdom to make their dreams come true. It tells how much more efficiency is obtained and retained, and how our future may be placed under our own control, instead of being at the mercy of any capricious or uncertain external power. It explains the cause of every condition, the reason for every experience, the origin of all power, and why all power is absolutely under our own control. Introduction, Part 1. Would you like to bring into your life more power? Get the power consciousness. More health? Get the health consciousness. More happiness? Get the happiness consciousness. Live the spirit of these things until they become yours by right. It will then become impossible to keep them from you. The things of the world are fluid to a power within man by which he rules them. And this is the one that will most likely point that out for you. Happiness is not a disease. You don't catch it. It's a target that you aim at. It is a goal that you set for yourself, and it is a choice that you make every single day. All day long, every single day. You have to choose to be happy, or it will not happen. You can find some external joy every once in a while, some exaltation, but happiness is more of a feeling that you sustain. It is, I am rising above these things. It is mental alchemy, which we talked about in the Hermes Trismegistus in the Ancient Lore playlist. You can make the decision. Today is going to be a terrible day, and it will. Or you can make the decision. Today is going to be a great day, and it will, despite whatever happens. If you are determined to find the worst in every single situation, you will absolutely find it. But if you are determined to find the best in every single situation, you will absolutely find it. It is up to you, and that is what this is telling you. It is the same for power, it is the same for health, and it is the same for happiness. Health is a little bit iffy because sometimes things happen to you that you have no control over. But you can affect change within yourself. That is one of the things we talk about quite often on this playlist. I have affected change in my own life. It is through the power of God, so don't get it twisted. But I made the decisions that led to that. I directed the energies that led to that. I have done something that most people have not. I have healed myself. I am relaying to you how to do that. Is it full and complete? Is it fast? No. Does it happen? Yes. I used to have a cyst in my throat. I was unable to talk to you in this tone of voice at all just over a year ago now. I think it started a year ago. The longer it goes, the harder it is to keep track. But through the conscious manipulation of the electromagnetic forces of creation, which is the Holy Spirit, I have been able to remove a cyst from my throat. I have been able to heal my shoulder, which I had 80% of, and now I have 100. You can do the same thing. It takes practice, it takes dedication. It is not immediate, but it does happen. You need not acquire this power. You already have it. But if you want to understand it, if you want to use it, you want to control it, you want to impregnate yourself with it so that you can go forward and carry the world before you. Day by day, as you go on, as you gain momentum, as your inspiration deepens, as your plans crystallize, as you gain understanding, you will come to realize this world is no dead pile of stones and timber, but that it is a living thing. It is made up of the beating hearts of humanity. It is a thing of life and beauty. It is evident that it requires understanding to work with the material of this description, but those who come into this understanding are inspired by a new light, a new force. They gain confidence and greater power each day. They realize their hopes and their dreams come true. Life has a deeper, fuller, clearer meaning than before. And now we are getting into part 1. That much gathers more is true on every plane of existence, and that loss leads to greater loss is equally true. Right? When you are in a pattern, the pattern tends to repeat. So if you are in a pattern of gain, it is going to tend to increase. If you are in a pattern of loss, it is going to tend to do the same unless you interrupt that particular pattern. Now, either one of those can be interrupted through external forces, true, but if you are sitting around without a job and homeless and you don't take any actions to remedy that, you're going to remain there and conditions are going to get worse. If you take the action to do better, things will get better. Mind is creative, and conditions, environment, and all experiences in life are the result of our habitual or predominant mental attitude. That is true. You will attract to you the things which you want. See the 8 laws of creation, or the things which you focus on. See the 8 laws of creation. The attitude of mind necessarily depends upon what we think. Therefore, the secret of all power, all achievement, and all possession depends upon our method of thinking. This is true because we must be before we can do. And we can do only to the extent that we are. And what we are depends upon what we think. That is true. Again, that is the power of positive thinking. That is reinforcing what you wish to happen. The I am statements is a great way to make that process begin. We cannot express powers that we do not possess. The only way by which we may secure possession of power is to become conscious of power. And we can never become conscious of power until we learn that all power is from within. There is a world within, a world of thought and feeling and power, of light and life and beauty, and although invisible, its forces are mighty. That is true. Prayer, fasting, and meditation will help you with that. The world within is governed by the mind. The soul and the mind are synonymous. When we discover this world, we shall find the solution for every problem, the cause for every effect, and since the world within is subject to our control, all laws of power and possession are also within our control. The world without is a reflection of the world within. What appears without is what has been found within. In the world within may be found infinite wisdom, infinite power, infinite supply of all that is necessary, waiting for unfoldment, development, and expression. If we recognize these potentialities in the world within, they will take the form within the world without. Yeah. Right. That is a reiteration of what we were just talking about. Like, you focusing on the thing makes it happen. So if that is recognizing the potentialities, and that will make them take the form within the world without. You, as above, so below, and as below, so above, is this, right? In part. Now, there are a couple of different ways to take that. The upper chakras and the lower chakras meeting in the heart, that's as above and so below. But as you are thinking, so it will be. That is a reiteration of what you focus on is what will be attracted into your life. That is one of the 8 laws of creation. The law of attraction, as a matter of fact. Harmony in the world within will be reflected in the world without by harmonious conditions, agreeable surroundings, the best of everything. It is the foundation of health and a necessary essential to all greatness, all power, all attainment, all achievement, and all success. It is important to remember, as you are beginning this process, that all things will not always be happy. They will not always be the best. You have to find the happiness within them, right? That is the mental alchemy we was talking about. But it will at times be trying. It will at times be hard. And when you are beginning, it will especially be so. When you are attempting to improve yourself, the entities who do not wish that to happen will indeed bring about some trials. It will get more difficult. When you choose to follow God, the temptations become more. When you choose to improve yourself, the temptations become more. The temptation to not do things, the temptation to sit on your butt, right? That is a temptation that will happen. Once you start, you're going to be like, well, I'm not seeing any results, and then you're going to fall off. You have to make sure that that doesn't happen. You have to make sure that you want this bad enough to make it happen in your life. It will happen, but it's going to take time, right? And this agreeable surroundings, the best of everything, is kind of intimating that it will turn around. There will be a turnaround. There will be gains. There will be growth. But it is not immediate, and you can't get discouraged by the trials that absolutely will show up. You have to find the best in that situation and work forward from there. Harmony in the world within means the ability to control our thoughts and to determine for ourselves how any experience is to affect us. That's what I just said. Harmony in the world within results in optimism and affluence. Affluence within results in affluence without. The world without reflects the circumstances and the conditions of the consciousness within certain limitations. See again the 8 laws of creation. If we find wisdom in the world within, we shall have the understanding to discern the marvelous possibilities that are latent in this world within, and we shall be given the power to make these possibilities manifest in the world without. That is true. And finding the wisdom in the world within, that is through prayer, fasting, and meditation, that is how that happens. We shall have the understanding, that is part of the process, to discern the marvelous possibilities latent within the world, yes, and we shall be given the power to make these possibilities manifest in the world without. Yes, that is part of the process. As we become conscious of the wisdom in the world within, we mentally take possession of this wisdom. And by taking mental possession, we come into actual possession of the power and wisdom necessary to bring into manifestation the essentials necessary for our most complete and harmonious development. Yes, it is a step-building process, right? As you become conscious of the wisdom in the world within, then you mentally take possession of the wisdom that is assimilating you. That's what I started this off talking about. And by taking the mental possession, we come into actual possession, right? First you conceptualize, then you manifest, of the power and wisdom necessary to bring into manifestation the essentials necessary for our most complete and harmonious development. Now this right here, complete and harmonious development, is not necessarily going to be what you start this process with. It will refine into this, but almost certainly when you begin this, the goals that you are focused on will not be the ones that actually come to fruition. You will change through the process to refine the goals into what it needs to be so that it can actually become. Then the thing is that what you're focused on, almost certainly to begin this, is going to be money. Money is not where you need to focus, right? You need to focus on improving yourself through your health, improving yourself through your concentration, improving yourself through taking care of yourself in your recreation, not doing things that are harmful to you, but instead things that help to build you. And that is the process by which the money will come. Invest in your career path, invest in learning new things to make yourself better, and then the money will come. But almost certainly you're going to begin this thinking, I want more money. That's not the way to go about it. Go about it with the development of skills. Go about it with the development of discipline. Go about it with the development of trust. Don't necessarily go into it with the money. You probably will that will change. Life is an unfoldment, not accretion. What comes to us in the world without is what we already possess in the world within. Kind of, right? This is a process of development, so you kind of already possess discipline. It's just not fully developed. You are making more. So it is, in a way, somewhat accretion. This is not entirely correct. But it is also unfoldment, so it is partially correct. Your life is determined by the decisions that you make. Whatever decisions you make leads you to where you are going. If you are making decisions that are not in alignment with your best potential, you will unfold your not best potential. If you are in agreement with things that are making your best, then you will unfold the best. But that is through a process of more things accumulating, so that would be accretion. All possession is based on consciousness. All gain is the result of an accumulative consciousness. All loss is the result of a scattering consciousness. And that is a slightly less effective way of saying what I just did. Mental efficiency is contingent upon harmony. Discord means confusion. Therefore, he who would acquire power must be in harmony with natural law. That is an important one too. You cannot pull anything from nothing, and you can only improve upon the things what already are. Being in harmony with that things is what allows you to to be in harmony. Right? Focusing on and improving those things is what allows you to be in harmony. We are related to the world without by the objective mind. The brain is the organ of the mind, and the cerebrospinal system of nerves puts us in conscious communication with every part of the body. This system of nerves responds to every sensation of light, heat, odor, sound, and taste. There are more. The brain is the organ of this mind. The cerebrospinal system of nerves does put you in conscious communication. I talk about that quite extensively in the Infinite Integrations playlist because you can manipulate the creative forces, the electromagnetic Holy Spirit that holds everything into one. You can direct that through conscious stimulation, and part of that is up and down the spinal column. Through the 7 chakras. Now you have 7 internal chakras and 1 external chakra, and it is through that by which that happens. But those are connected by the cerebrospinal system of nerves. It is fall, so new pollen and stuff. When this mind thinks correctly, when it understands the truth, when the thoughts sent through the cerebrospinal nervous system to the body are constructive, these sensations are pleasant, harmonious. The result is that we build strength, vitality, and all constructive forces into our body. But it is through this same objective mind that all distress, sickness, lack, limitation, and every form of discord and inharmony is admitted to our lives. It is therefore through the objective mind, by wrong thinking, that we are related to all destructive forces. Yes, the result that we build strength, vitality, and constructive forces in our body. That is through prayer, fasting, and meditation. They're not talking about that I will. You can spend all the time you want concentrating. It will do nothing if it is not directed in the right manner. Prayer is when you ask for things and you direct your mind towards things. Fasting prepares you to hear back, and meditation is where you do hear back. It is where the unconscious talks to you, right? If you are consciously concentrating on a thing, you are not allowing the talk back part. The prayer, fasting, and meditation are intrinsic to the improvement process. Your objective mind does the prayer part, but your unconscious subjective mind really does the meditative part. There is a separation between those two, and you need to do both of them. When you are using your objective mind, you need to be focused on the things which you want and not about the things that you don't. So if you're like, please, Lord, don't let me lose my job, that is focusing on what you don't want. When it is, Lord, Allow the opportunity that will make what needs to happen happen. That is focusing on the positive, and whether sometimes losing your job is the positive spur for a new growth and development. Try to focus on the part that you want. I want the best. I want to be able to work efficiently towards a goal that will lead to my betterment. That is focusing on what you want, as opposed to, I don't want to lose my job. That is focusing on what you don't. That is the wrong thinking, right? That leads to destructive forces. Focusing on the thing that you don't want. I really hope I don't get in a wreck. I really hope I don't get in an accident. I hope I don't lose my leg. There are a lot of things that you can focus in the wrong direction on. We are related to the world within by the subconscious mind. The solar plexus is the organ of this mind. The sympathetic system of nerves presides over all subjective sensations, such as joy, fear, love, emotion, respiration, imagination, and all other subconscious phenomena. It is through the subconscious mind that we are connected with the universal mind and brought into relation with the infinite constructive forces of the universe. And this is part of what I was talking about, prayer, fasting, and meditation. This is the meditative part, right? We talked about the objective mind, that is you thinking consciously, that is prayer. The subconscious mind is the meditative part. It says the solar plexus here, and in part that is correct, right? There are 7 chakras inside of you and 1 outside of you that you have access to. Beginning at the bottom, it is the base, the sacral, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, the crown, and the divine. That in its totality is the subconscious mind that you get to use. Now you can use that objectively. You can direct your consciousness both up and down through your various chakras to achieve the goals that you want. Each one of those has a different reference point of what it is doing. The top and the bottom receive information. That is where you communicate with the divine. The third eye and the sacral are the parts that direct that. They are the parts that say, I want this. The next is the throat and the solar plexus. That is the part where it amplifies. It is the part that you take what you want and you speak aloud the thing which you want to see. You take your desire and you push it into your hunger, and that creates what you want. The heart melts these together. As above, so below is the top 3 and the bottom 3 being melded into the one through the heart and into the divine. So, in part, this is correct. The solar plexus does play a part of that, but it doesn't take all of it. All of these work together all of the time. Now, you get a gut feeling. That is your solar plexus or your throat or whatever chakra happens to be affected interacting with the exterior. When you walk into a room and you see somebody and you're like, I don't like that guy. That is your gut feeling. That is your solar plexus interacting with either your heart or your throat or whatever it needs to let you know this is a bad situation. And what exactly that interaction is depends on the situation. If you walk into a room and you see someone who is extremely attractive, you get the same feeling. Slightly different, right? It is a gut feeling, but you're like, wow, they're really hot. That is the same thing. That is your gut feeling interacting. And in that one in particular, it's probably going to be your sacral interacting with your stomach, right? Your solar plexus. You have a desire and you're wanting to feed that desire. That is what that is. So in part, this is correct, but in part, it is not. All of it works together as a system. You can learn how to differentiate between the different points of the system. In the Infinite Integrations playlist, we talk about that in more detail. It is the coordination of these 2 centers of our being and the understanding of their functions which is the great secret of life. With this knowledge, we can bring the objective and subjective minds into conscious cooperation, and thus coordinate the finite and the infinite, as above, so below. Our future is entirely within our own control. It is not at the mercy of any capricious or uncertain external power. And again, this is something you can do. It is not something that is going to happen to you. It is something you develop through practice. Prayer, fasting, and meditation. The different steps that we talk about with moving the energy through your chakras. Understanding what the desire of each one of your chakras is, because it is different depending upon your MBTI stack. All of these things play their part. It is only through all of these things that I have been able to do what I've been able to do. Doesn't mean that it's going to work exactly the same for you, right? I am here to show the path by which I have taken, and hopefully other people can as well. It has been effective in some other people's lives. So it's not just me talking subjectively. There is a little bit of objectivity in here, although the sample size is not nearly large enough to do anything scientifically with. But it has had subjective results for me and various other peoples. I'll agree that there is but one principle or consciousness pervading the entire universe, occupying all space and being essentially the same in kind at every point of its presence. It is all powerful, all wisdom, and always present. All thoughts and things are within itself. It is all in all. That is the very first of the laws of creation. All things are the one. You can neither create nor destroy, and anything that is transitioned goes directly back. That is part of the 8 laws of creation. It's literally the first one, the law of one. That is God, right? That is the divine. God is the one. God is everything. He is me. He is you. He is the space between me and you, and the space between me and you. He is everything you can put your hands on and everything that you can't. He is all things at all times. There is but one consciousness in the universe, able to think, and when it thinks, its thoughts become objective things to it. At this consciousness is omnipresent. It must be present within every individual. Each individual must be a manifestation of that omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent consciousness. And again, that is source, right? Now, my thoughts on religion are a little bit different from most people. See the Unconventional Bible Study if you would like further explanation on that. But I believe that we are all here as a individualized spark of divinity. You have the Trinity, which is the body, the temple that you navigate in 5D space. You have the mind or the soul, which is the individualized piece of divinity that allows you to pilot the meat suit, the temple. And you have the Holy Spirit, which is the all-pervading force that we were just talking about, that which is God. You can take a small piece of control of that spirit and effect change within yourself. That is what I have done. Right? I have healed my throat. I have healed my shoulder. I am affecting change in other parts of my life. And so that is the consciousness being spoken of here. I hold a slightly different on that, right? We are all each individualized pieces of that consciousness. So yes, it is one consciousness, but we are here for different reasons, different goals, different purposes. My purpose and your purpose may be closely aligned, but slightly different. We may think in different ways. That is our individuality. That is our piece of this consciousness. So we each have our own piece of consciousness. Nobody has the whole of the one consciousness. Also, as related to source, I believe that we all were somewheres prior to being here and are going somewheres after here, the soul being eternal. That is the individualized piece of God that is you piloting the meat suit. And so we were somewheres prior to here, and we will be somewheres prior or somewheres after here. And so the sense of loss that most people attribute to the religion, I really don't. I believe that we came from source and we will return to source regardless of what your actions are. There will be an accounting for, right? But we are unclear on exactly what that is, other than the fact that it is almost certainly not hell. That is simply not biblical. As there is only one consciousness in the universe that is able to think, it necessarily follows that your consciousness is identical with the universal consciousness, or in other words, all mind is one mind. There is no dodging this conclusion. That is simply not true. Yes, like we just said, the overarching, yes, everybody is a piece of the divine, but you are here on your mission and somebody else is here on their other mission. Some people's mission is not for the betterment. Some people are here for the detriment. That is their mission. That is exceedingly rare, so don't get it like everybody, right? But to say that everybody has the exact same consciousness is not going to work. It's really not. Even if we are closely aligned, there will be a little bit difference between us. That is why we are here. Otherwise, we didn't need to be here. There is no reason to incorporate if everybody's going to have the same thoughts or even desire to get to the same thoughts. My hopes and desires probably don't match yours. The things that I want for my life don't necessarily have to be the things that you want for your life. That is part of our journey. That is part of the experience of being the human here on the 5D plane. And so I don't necessarily agree with this. Like the overarching, yes, everything is part of God. Everything is here as God expressing himself, but the individualization kind of throws a wrench into this. Your consciousness is not identical with the universal consciousness until you align yourself with that. And so, not really. There is indeed dodging this conclusion. The consciousness that focuses in your brain cells is the same consciousness which focuses in the brain cells of every other individual. And again, that is maybe, but not really. Each individual is but the individualization of the universal, the cosmic mind. And again, yes, the overarching is true, but the individualized is individualized for a reason. The universal mind is static, or potential energy. It simply is. It can manifest only through the individual, and the individual can only manifest through the universal. They are one. The ability of the individual to think is his ability to act on the universal and bring it into manifestation. Human consciousness consists only in the ability of man to think. Walker says, mind in itself is believed to be a subtle form of static energy, which arises the activities called thought, which is the dynamic phase of the mind. Mind is static energy, thought is dynamic energy, the two phases of the same thing. Therefore, thought is, therefore, the vibratory force formed by converting static mind into dynamic mind. Kind of, right? And once again, this goes back into metaphysics, but you are here with intentionality. I believe that when you were where you were before, you made decisions. And those decisions were, when you incorporate, which is to take possession of the temple, you have certain lessons to learn. Some of them are great lessons. You may meet the love of your life and live for 80 years in perfect harmony. That's probably not going to happen, but right, you can meet the love of your life, but the perfect harmony part, probably not going to happen. Or there can be great pains, troubles, things that happen to you that are not necessarily pleasant, grief, loss. Those are part of the process. You have agreed to learn grief. You have agreed to learn pain. You have agreed to learn these things prior to incorporation. The method by which you learn those things comes through cooperation with other people. So when you meet somebody and you are diametrically opposed to them, that is through agreement prior to being here. You are here to learn from them, even if you don't like them. They are here to learn from you, even if they don't like you. That is part of the reason why you are here. You're not meant to overcome grief. You're meant to learn to live with the grief, right? You don't get rid of grief. Your mom dies or your kid dies, you're going to feel that for the rest of your life. But it can either become the thing by which your life is focused, or it can become a thing which happened to you, of which you learned to live with. That is part of the lesson. So, that is in part correct. Now, This focusing of the mind, right? The taking of the things that happen to you and focusing them into the desired effect, that is part of mental alchemy, and part of manifestation. Prayer, fasting, and meditation. When you pray, you are asking for things. When you fast, you are preparing yourself to receive the instructions, and meditation is getting the instructions. Well, part of the prayer part is directing your energies into what you want. We talked about the manifestation process. I am sure we will again, and it is in greater detail in the Infinite Integrations playlist. But if you take the will that you are getting from the divine, both top and bottom, and you direct that through your mind and your sacral into what you want to happen, and you amplify that through your throat and your solar plexus, and you direct it through your heart into your divine aura, that is the process by which manifestation happens. So you are taking the thought, amplifying it, and creating it. So this is in part true too. That is the vibratory force. The words that you speak help to bring things into your life. The things that you consume does the same thing. As the sum of all attributes is contained in the universal mind, which is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent, these attributes must present at all times in their potential form in every individual. Therefore, when the individual thinks, the thought is compelled by its nature to embody itself in an objectivity or condition, which will correspond with its origin. Every thought is therefore a cause, and every condition an effect. That is the truth. For this reason, it is absolutely essential that you control your thoughts so as to bring forth only desirable conditions. Focus on the things you want, not on the things you don't. All power is from within, and it is absolutely under your control. It comes through exact knowledge and by the voluntary exercises of exact principles. We discuss those in detail in the Infinite Integrations playlist. It should be plain that when you acquire a thorough understanding of this law and are able to control your thought processes, you can apply it to any condition. In other words, you will have come into conscious cooperation with the omnipotent law, which is the fundamental basis of all things. Yes, the universal mind is the life principle of every atom which is in existence. Every atom is continually striving to manifest more life. All are intelligent and all are seeking to carry out the purpose for which they were created. This brings us into another one of my theories, right? I talk often about the theory of spiritual evolution, how I believe that we are all here with a purpose, every single one of us, in a myriad of ways. Now, this manifests, as we are talking here, in the different planes of existence. The very first plane is the elemental plane. It is the individualized carbon and hydrogen and oxygen that are floating around or even locked into place. And they form the mineral world for the large part, which includes your atmosphere and the water and all of that. That is part of the minerals. It is the first plane of existence. It is not sentient. It cannot do anything in and of itself. It simply exists. The second plane of existence is the incorporation of the first. That is the best way to talk about that is through plants. Plants take the individualized pieces of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. They absorb them from the mineral world and transfer them directly into their plant-based life. But while they grow, they go from a point, which is the first existence, to a line, which is the second, right? You get length and width, but length and height for plants. They grow up, right? They grow out a little bit, but they can't decide, hey, there's not enough water right here, I'm going to go over there. That's the second plane of existence. It is merely a line. The third plane of existence, you get the ability to move. You get to move through space. That is the third 3D part of existence. It is length, width, and height. That is exemplified by the animal kingdom, but there is a division in the animal kingdom between the upper and the lower. The lower, which is the third plane, doesn't really have thoughts. They have instincts, but they can't really learn things. You can't go and pick up a beetle and train a beetle to do anything, where you can with a dog. right? So a beetle is on the third plane of existence. It is taking from the second plane and incorporating it into itself. It feeds on fungi and different bacteria, which are feeding on the elemental plane. And it can move. It can say, I don't like this spot, but I'm going to go over there. But it doesn't really have thought. Whereas a dog does. A dog can be trained. A dog can anticipate. But it can't create. It can't grow. It can't do on its own. That is the third and the fourth plane of existence. The fifth plane of existence is where we live. Now, we incorporate from all of it, right? We eat salt, that is the mineral kingdom. We eat plants, that is the animal kingdom. We eat both the upper and the lower animal kingdoms. And we incorporate those into ourselves. The fifth plane of existence is the length, width, and breadth. And amidst it, thought is the fourth plane of existence, right? That length, width, height, thought. And then we get time. We get the understanding that we need to preserve food. We get the understanding that something will happen 5 days from now. We get the understanding of time as a concept, even though we do not have mastery of it. That is the fifth plane of existence, length, width, height, thought, and time. The next plane of existence, which we are not at, is going to be either the mastery of distance or the mastery of time. I don't know which one. But one of those, we get an extra one. That's going to bring us up to 6. After that is 7, which is both time and thought. So you get mastery of both of those. That is going to give you 7. Now, 6 is probably the disincorporated spirits. It is the lesser of the spirits, whereas you have the higher spirits that can come and actually affect things. The lesser really can't. They come, they tell you things, right? The ancestor spirits and the various things like that. But you have greater entities who call down fire upon Sodom and Gomorrah. That is 6 and 7. And then 8, which completes the harmonic, is the overarching fundamental oneness of all things. It is the divine nature, and we won't get that until we go back. I think that covers everything in the theory of spiritual evolution, but it is in accordance with this in some part. Every atom is continually striving to manifest more life, right? That is the atom, the carbon, trying to be the best carbon that it can be. A majority of mankind lives in the world without. Few have found the world within. It is indeed a very narrow gate. It is a narrow path, as a matter of fact. And yet it is the world within that makes the world without. It is therefore creative, and everything which you find in your world without has been created by you in the world within. The master key will bring you into a realization of power, which will be yours when you understand this relation between the world without and the world within. The world within is the cause, the world without, the effect. To change the effect, you must change the cause. That is important, right? You have the ability to create your world. What you decide decides which way the direction is going to go. Now, this plays back into my NPC theory. We are all here to learn lessons. I'm here to learn a lesson. You're here to learn a lesson. You're here to learn a lesson from me, and I'm here to learn a lesson from you if you leave a comment or if you have some extra knowledge to add or disagree, right? We're here to learn from each other. And so, in part, it is all the same. But in part, what I choose makes my reality, and what you choose makes your reality. And they can diverge. Now, I am here, and I am the player character, the PC, in my reality. I am doing what I want to create my reality. You are an NPC in my reality, unless we are directly related. I used to play World of Warcraft, and I'm going to use one of the analogies from that, but it works with a bunch of different video games or even other things. When you are playing World of Warcraft, you start out, you're playing by yourself. There are other people out there, they are doing their own thing. They have nothing to do with you. They're player characters in their own arc. So to you, they aren't even really player characters. They aren't involved at all in your mission. But at different points in time, you come together with other people and you go on a mission together, whether it's an instance or whether you're just tackling one boss out in the wild world. You come together in alignment to achieve a certain goal. And so our timelines coincide. They don't overlap, but they run concurrent next to each other. And when that's done, they go off. The group disbands. This guy goes off and does this thing. This guy goes off and does that thing. And you go off and you do your thing. For the point of time in which you are in concurrence, they are player characters in your game. But once they go off, they are once again non-player characters in your game. They have their goals and their ambitions. That is how the timelines work. My timeline is up to me. Your timeline is up to you, and they don't necessarily have to end up in the same place, even on a grander scale. What you decide and what you focus on will bring into a realization the power of creation, the unfolding intentionally of the direction in which you want your timeline to go. And to affect the change, you must cause the change. You make the decisions which make the power work. You will, at once, see that this is a radically new and different idea. Most men try to change effects by working with effects. They fail to see that this is simply changing one form of distress for another. To remove discord, we must remove the cause, and this cause can be found only in the world within. And again, that is what I just said. All growth is from within. This is evident in all nature. Every plant, every animal, every human being is a living testimony to this great law. And the error of the ages is in looking for strength or power from without. That is, again, part of the prayer, fasting, and meditative processes. See the Infinite Integrations playlist. The world within is the universal fountain of supply, and the world without is the outlet to our stream. Our ability to receive depends upon our recognition of this universal fountain, this infinite energy of which each individual is an outlet. And so is one with every other individual. And again, I differ here in the way that I just described, right? The MPC theory. If we are in accordance, then yes, right? One is in accord with the other individual. But if we are not on the same goals, then it is not. Recognition is a mental process. Mental action is therefore the interaction of the individual upon the universal mind. And as the universal mind is the intelligence which pervades all space and animates all living things, this mental action and reaction is the law of causation. But the principle of causation does not obtain in the individual, but in the universal mind. It is not an objective faculty, but a subjective process. And the results are seen in an infinite variety of conditions and experiences. Yes. In order to express life, there must be mind. Nothing can exist without mind. Everything which exists is some manifestation of this one basic substance from which and by which all things have been created and are continually being recreated. That is the theory of spiritual evolution. We live in a fathomless sea of plastic mind substance. This substance is ever alive and active. It is sensitive to the highest degree. It takes form according to the mental demand. Thought forms the mold or matrix from which the substance expresses. Yeah, right. You are able to manifest that which you desire through the conscious use of manipulation of the electromagnetic forces of creation. So it is indeed a substance, right? The all-pervading electromagnetics, right? I can't see anything between me and you, right? There's air, but even that air is part of that substance. Remember that it is in the application alone that the value consists, and that a practical understanding of this law will substitute abundance for poverty, wisdom for ignorance, harmony for discord, and freedom for tyranny. And certainly there can be no greater blessing than these from a material and a social standpoint. Yeah. Now, make the application. Select a room where you can be alone and undisturbed. Sit erect, comfortably, but do not lounge. Let your thoughts roam where they will, but be perfectly still from 15 minutes to half an hour. Continue this for 3 or 4 days or for a week until you secure full control of your physical being. Um, we have in the Infinite Integrations playlist some resources that will allow you to do that. Right? Learning to turn the flower or the light around from the golden flower will get you there for this. Many will find this sorry. Many will find this extremely difficult. Others will conquer with ease. But it is absolutely essential to secure complete control of your body before you are ready to progress. In part 2, you will receive instructions for the next step. In the meantime, you must have mastered this one. And that is, right, this is prayer, fasting, and meditation, right? Prayer and meditation in particular, it's not really talking about fasting, but that is an intrinsic part of it. Not that you have to fast all of the time, but fasting, especially in an important part or when you're beginning this process, allows your body to learn how to identify the meditative part. The active part, the part that you are directing, is prayer. The inactive part, where you hear things that are not coming necessarily from you, like you can make the argument that all of it is your subconscious mind. I believe that that is source, and that it is these ideas come from source, and you sitting quietly, stilling your thoughts and focusing on your innards, right, on the inward journey, allows you to hear that subconscious thought more fully and clearly. And when you fast, it allows it to do it more efficiently. And some people will find this extremely difficult. It is a practice. It is not going to be right away. Right? It is something that you are going to have to work on, almost certainly. If you've never done this before, you will have to practice it. It will not come right away. And so when they tell you to take the time, I do the same thing. I'm going through this faster than they recommend, but it's because I have most of these fundamentals already locked down. I am just trying to assimilate new parts of the knowledge. All right, let's go through these questions. What is the world within? What is the world without in its relation to the world within? The world without is a reflection of the world within. Upon what does all possession depend? All possession is based on consciousness. How is the individual related to the objective world? The individual is related to the objective world by the objective mind. The brain is the organ of this mind. How is he related to the universal mind? He is related to the universal mind by the subconscious mind. The solar plexus is the organ of this mind, and I am going to change this to the chakras. What is the universal mind? The universal mind is the life principle of every atom which is in existence. How can the individual act on the universal? The ability of the individual to think is his ability to act upon the universal and bring it into manifestation. Yes. What is the result of this action and interaction? The result of this action and interaction is cause and effect. Every thought is a cause and every condition an effect. Sometimes the conditions are external from your thought. That is simply a truth. I understand what they're trying to get here. You do manifest that which you focus on, but sometimes the bottlenecks are there, things which are necessary for your development. So sometimes external things are still going to happen when you are doing this process. How are harmonious and desirable conditions secured? Harmonious and desirable conditions are obtained by right thinking. What is the cause of all discord? Inharmony, lack, and limitation. Discord, inharmony, lack, and limitation are the result of wrong thinking. And again, that is in part, not in total. And what is the source of all power? The source of all power is the world within, the universal fountain of supply, the infinite energy of which each individual is an outlet. And that is what you get, right? That is the end result. That is the manipulation of the electromagnetic forces which bind us all together. It is the Holy Spirit. You get a small degree of mastery of that. You can do things with it. I have done things internally, and one thing significantly externally, and I felt the repercussions of it, so I don't really mess with a whole lot of external these days. I am beginning to play with that a little bit more, but it is need-based more than anything, so it is not going to be something I do too much. I am affecting change within myself. I have effected healing within myself, right? I've healed my shoulder and my throat, and I'm affecting healing elsewhere through the use of this universal fountain of supply, the infinite energy of which I am an outlet. Now, you're an outlet too, but the effectiveness of that outlet depends entirely upon the amount of time you have invested in being effective at it. And we'll read this quote. Those who have finished by making all others think with them have usually been those who began by daring to think for themselves. Colton. And that is going to wrap up part 1. Hopefully I brought a little bit of enlightenment and not too much confusion to a series of somewhat difficult concepts. I understand that I have some unconventional beliefs and a tendency to step on toes when I relay those beliefs. It is not intentional, but I do not apologize for it. I am here on a mission. That mission is to lay this out as simply and as understandably as we can. I am here to clarify things by which I have knowledge. I try to stay away from the things that I have not experienced or I do not have direct knowledge of. If I am speculating, I try to say that, but everything that I pointed out here, outside of the theory of spiritual evolution, which is a theory, I have done experientially. I have affected change in my life through the things by which I relate to you. I can give you my experience. I can tell you about it. I'm not here to convince you that it happened. I'm here to let you know that it happened. I'm only here to relay information, not to convince you. If you like what I'm doing over here, let me know down below. Give me a like, share, and a sub. Throw me a comment if you agree or disagree. If it remains respectful, it gets to remain up. And if you really like what I'm doing over here, hit me with that super thanks. If there's another work that you would like to see along the manner in which we are doing this, leave that in the comments as well. To the crew, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate every single minute that you are here with me, and I am praying for you every single day. Until next time, I love you. God loves you. You are perfect, whole, and complete just the way that you are. And this has been Pitt State. Peace.